thank you for the invitation to this event. Today I'm here to talk to you about synergies between satellite navigation and 5G, and to introduce the navigation directorate strategy with respect to these two technologies. We could move to the next slide, please. Let me start first with few general remarks on the current 5G landscape. So this ecosystem has evolved a lot over the last years, and besides the traditional players that we can see on the left-hand side, it now includes a growing presence of satellite industry and space agencies, which are convinced of the potential for an integrated satellite and terrestrial network in the context of 5G. And just one final remark before moving to the next slide. When I refer to the satellite component from now on, I mean the satellite navigation, while Antonio will deal with telecommunications aspects in the next presentation. We can move to the next slide. So from the very beginning of this presentation, we should now know that 5G is much more than a standard for higher data rates. And among many new capabilities, it can also act as a positioning system. Traditionally speaking, network-based positioning has not been very ambitious, and it has been always limited by the 50 meter positioning accuracy required by FCC E911 mandate in US. But this is no longer the case, and in a matter of few years, the ambitions change in a disruptive mode. And we can see that today the requirement in the latest release of 5G is to achieve performance better than 1 meter, regardless of the operational environment, indoor, outdoor. And here, from our point of view, we think the solution is to, for user, is to adopt a combination of GNSS and 5G, of course, in outdoor where GNSS is available. We can move to the next slide. So I would like to spend a bit more time to explain maybe what it seems to be an abstract idea of combining GNSS and 5G. So for a moment, imagine that your autonomous driving vehicle is driving in downtown of a big city, and because of the buildings around you, these signals coming from the GNSS satellite are blocked, and a large number of the satellites is no longer visible. So in this situation, you'd be very happy to be able to leverage on the 5G infrastructure to augment the let's say reduce and limited GNSS availability. On the other hand, it's also very important to point out that 5G alone as a positioning system may not always work with the desired performance, and it needs also to be augmented with GNSS and inertial sensors, cameras, and so on. The takeaway here is that everyone benefits the most when using both GNSS and 5G, and not just one of them. We can move to the next slide, please. Okay. I'd like to spend also a bit of time to discuss a bit and to present the strategy that we follow when we deal with GNSS 5G integration, and this can be summarized in a loop made of 4 pillars, starting first with our active contribution to 3GPP standardization that has been already explained in details by Stefano. I'd just like to add here that we gain from this participation to 3GPP a lot of understanding into emerging use cases from a very early phase. And then we also have, of course, the opportunity to promote how GNSS, but not only GNSS, also satellite in general, can contribute to one solution to meet these emerging use cases. These inputs from 3GPP, then we convert them into R&D roadmaps, which we implement together with space, but also very important, we managed to attract non-space European industry in some of our projects, and I have put there two examples on the bottom. We also collaborate and coordinate very closely with European GNSS Agency and with the European Commission, which are key stakeholders of the Galileo program. And they also have interest in seeing Galileo differentiators being promoted and adopted in the communication standards of the future. And lastly, we aggregate all these inputs from these previous pillars into the evolution of Galileo program and in general into our work on space infrastructure for satellite navigation. So I would like to elaborate more on these R&D opportunities and to circle back to your question, Gordon, from the beginning, what we can do in the coming future here. So if we can go to the next slide. We have recently opened a thematic call in the element 2 of ESA's NAVIS program. And here we are soliciting for proposal for co-funded R&D across the whole 5G positioning domain. So we are seeking for technology and products at high TRL level and even pre-operational phases across the whole 5G GNSS area, and we are focused on addressing needs from three main applications which are central to 5G technology. So the first one is the fourth industrial evolution, this industrial IoT or smart manufacturing. The second application we are dealing with is critical applications, drone delivery, autonomous driving. And lastly, a topic not very much advertised, which is timing synchronization. And this call for ideas is open until the end of this month, has been open in October 2020. So I encourage all our viewers that may be interested in participating to hurry up and submit for the beginning a very short outline proposal before the deadline expires. And we can go to the next slide. I would like also to briefly touch on the future. So as telecom industry is currently in the process of rolling 5G technology across the globe, the research community and the academia already began the development of beyond 5G solutions. Let's say we can already call it 6G or 2030 era. At this moment is not yet clear, of course it's too early, what 6G will entail, but we believe that space infrastructure will continue on this uptrend started in 5G when satellite communication joined GNSS as the other space component of the global communications standard. So for example, personally, I can easily imagine a scenario where satellites will offer both communications and navigation services with 5G signals from platforms in LEO orbits. And we are very fortunate at ESA to have all the necessary skills and a strong team with engineers from technical directorate, from telecommunications and from navigation can easily turn any crazy idea into reality. So we are looking forward to unlock the full potential of beyond 5G in the near future. We can move to the last slide of my intervention. So I would just like to summarize briefly the main key messages of our joint presentation. So first, having been involved directly into standardization of 5G and having seen the applications emerging, we are confident that multi-GNSS will continue to be a key positioning, navigation, and timing technology, also in the context of the most demanding 5G applications. Besides GNSS, satellite communication is catching up fast, and it will play a very important role in current and future global communication standards. And lastly, I think now it's the right time to begin preparing an ESA vision on 6G revolving around communication and navigation services from LEO satellites. Why not thinking about including Earth observation products, maybe in support of digital twin models and many other ideas that we can think about. So that was all from my side, and thank you again for having me at this event.